To marry the city's crown prince, my sister tried to drug him. She failed. Instead of a wedding bed, she got a boot to the stomach that sent her to the ER and got her fired. But in her warped reality, that wasn't rejection. It was the start of a twisted romance novel. She escalated, stalking him, crashing his company, until his bodyguards beat her into the ICU. 2 months later, she claimed she was pregnant with his child, having bought a specimen from a corrupt insider. Fearing the wrath of a man like Donovan Croft, I dragged her to a clinic and forced her to terminate the pregnancy. I thought I was saving us. On the day Donovan Croft's engagement was announced, my sister cooked me a celebratory dinner. As I lay paralyzed on the floor, blood pouring from my mouth, she smiled, a kitchen knife in her hand. "It should have been me," she whispered, plunging the blade into my stomach. "If you hadn't made me get rid of the baby, I would be his bride right now." My eyes shot open. I was back. He did it because he's falling for me. It's just like in my books, the hero always hurts the heroine at first. It proves I'm his destiny. That voice, that insane, familiar declaration. I was really back. The slap echoed in the sterile hospital room. "Wake the hell up," I snarled, my palm stinging. "Take a good look at yourself in a puddle of your own piss. You have nothing. What billionaire would be crazy enough to love you?" Jenna stared at me, her hand cupping her reddening cheek, her mind struggling to catch up. Seconds later, a shriek tore from her throat. "Karis, how dare you hit me?" I met her gaze with ice. After what she did to me in my last life, a slap was a mercy. I should have been returning the favor with a knife. Jenna's obsession with billionaire romance novels had consumed her. She'd dropped out of community college to work as a receptionist at a 5-star hotel, all for the chance to meet an alpha male. When she heard that Donovan Croft was checking in, she saw her chance. She'd drug him, one night of passion, a secret baby, the whole trashy trope. Except Donovan Croft was paranoid. He never touched the water she gave him. She didn't just fail to get into his bed, he kicked her into a hospital bed. She lost her job. The medical bills were astronomical. I had tried to reason with her then. If his bed was so easy to climb into, his illegitimate children would be running a small country by now. She hadn't listened. After being discharged, she'd stormed his company headquarters daily, demanding he take responsibility. She stopped him, sabotaged one of his business deals. This time, Donovan Croft didn't hold back. He had her beaten so badly she ended up in the ICU. His assistant had told me to prepare $2 million, or Jenna would go to prison. I took out high-interest online loans. I sold our parents' house. The moment the money was transferred, I was fired, then blacklisted from my entire industry. That's when I learned, when Donovan Croft decides to destroy someone, he doesn't stop until they're dust. And even that, I was told, was him showing restraint. I told Jenna to give up. Instead, she told me she'd secured his genetic material and was already 2 months pregnant. I was sure she'd been scammed. Terrified of what Donovan would do to us, I forced her to have the abortion. And in return, she'd gutted me like a fish. "You're just jealous." Jenna's voice, identical to the one in my memory, snapped me back to the present. "Jealous that I got into his bed while you've never even seen his face." I slapped her again, harder this time. "Get a grip, Jenna. The rich aren't stupid, and Donovan Croft is not someone you mess with. I'm not losing my job because of your fantasies." The 2 slaps finally ignited her rage. "You pathetic little wage slave," she screamed. "When I marry into the Croft family, a crumb from my finger will be enough to feed you for a lifetime, and all you can think about is your stupid job." I let out a cold laugh. "Marry him first, then we'll talk." A doctor came in to stitch up Jenna's arm. Only then did I notice the 20-centimeter gash. Donovan Croft had sliced her with a knife. The wound was deep, clearly meant to cause serious harm. And my sister saw this as a sign of love. She had no brain, but I did. After leaving the hospital, I went straight to Croft Enterprises. For 7 days, the receptionist turned me away. On the 8th day, Donovan's top assistant, Silas Finch, came down to meet me. His face was a mask of cold professionalism. "Ms. Rowe, perhaps you're unaware of the full situation. Your sister attempted to sexually assault Mr. Croft. The fact that we haven't involved the police is, frankly, an act of mercy. I'm not here to defend Jenna." Seeing his misunderstanding, I quickly pulled an OECT from my bag and handed it to him. It was a digital voice recorder. On it was the conversation from the hospital. My pleas for her to stop, her delusional declarations. After listening, Silas frowned. "What is the meaning of this?" "Mr. Finch, you heard it yourself," I said, my hands open in a gesture of surrender. "I've tried to talk sense into her. She is hell-bent on this path, on provoking Mr. Croft. I can't stop her." I took a breath. "I need you to convey this to Mr. Croft. When my sister finally pushes him too far, and he decides to deal with her, please, do not let his anger extend to me." In a few seconds, Silas's expression shifted from disdain to surprise. I couldn't tell if it was my words or my cold detachment from my own sister that shocked him. I hated having to do this, to air our filthy laundry in front of this powerful man. Having a sister like Jenna was a profound humiliation, but my life was more important than my pride. In my past life, I had actually considered helping her. But my research into Donovan Croft revealed a terrifying reality. He wasn't just new money, he was a 10th-generation aristocrat, a true scion of an empire. He had limitless resources, and his temper was legendary. I'd heard a story about someone who had pestered him relentlessly. He'd had them sent abroad. When they returned, they were missing most of their internal organs. Silas, ever the professional, recovered quickly. "I will pass on your message to Mr. Croft. Is there anything else?" I hesitated. The head of security at his estate. I believe his last name is Liu. He's not trustworthy. He might sell my sister information about Mr. Croft's whereabouts. He sold more than that. He was the one who sold her the specimen. But saying that out loud would make me sound as insane as her. Silas might think it was all part of a more elaborate trap. Silas nodded curtly. Noted. Thank you. As he turned to leave, I called out to him one last time. Mr. Finch, my parents died when we were young. My sister and I, we were all each other had. If there ever comes a day when Mr. Croft is truly angered by her. He narrowed his eyes. You want me to plead for her? I shook my head. No. I want you to film it for me. I want to see her downfall with my own eyes. Silas froze. A moment later, a genuine, startling laugh escaped him. His smile was disarming. He was handsome, almost unnaturally so. I couldn't fathom how my sister, seeing a man like this, could still believe Donovan Croft would ever look at her. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar voice pierced the lobby's quiet hum. I'm here to see Donovan Croft. It was Jenna. The receptionist smiled politely. Do you have an appointment, miss? No, Jenna said, her tone belligerent. Go ask Donovan Croft if he remembers what happened in that hotel room a week ago. Tell him he can't just sleep with me and then pretend I don't exist. There are consequences. Her shriek turned heads. People stared at her like she was a zoo animal. I shrank behind a large potted plant, praying no one would notice the striking resemblance between my face and the lunatic making a scene. Silas, who hadn't left yet, walked over. Miss Jenna Rowe, could we speak privately for a moment? His intention was clearly to de-escalate. Jenna, however, took one look at him, and spat directly on his $1,000 suit. Tui, who the hell are you to talk to me? Get your master out here. A collective gasp filled the lobby. Everyone knew Silas Finch's position. He was second only to Donovan Croft himself. To disrespect him like this was a death wish. As expected, a serene smile spread across Silas's face. He calmly gestured to security, who promptly dragged my screaming, cursing sister out of the building. Less than 2 minutes later, police cars arrived and took her away. The next day, a new notice was posted at the entrance of Croft Enterprises. A large, unflattering photo of Jenna was displayed under the words, "And dogs not allowed." Banned from the company and with the corrupt head of security fired, Jenna was cut off. At home, she smashed everything she could get her hands on. She tried to leak her story to the tabloids. The moment they heard the name Donovan Croft, they packed up their gear and fled. One paparazzo sneered at her. You call this a story? 100 women a day claim they've slept with Donovan Croft. And honey, you're one of the ugliest I've seen. His words sent her into a fury. You just wait. When I'm Mrs. Croft, you'll be the first one I destroy. I thought that would be the end of it, that reality would finally break through her delusion. I was wrong. A few days later, Jenna announced she'd found a new way to get to him. I choked on my water. What are you going to do? The Croft estate is hiring house staff. I got a job, she said, a triumphant smirk on her face. I'm finally getting inside. I stared at her. Are you sure it's the Croft estate? Croft Enterprises ran background checks on their janitors. How could a position inside his home be so easy to get? Of course. They just took a blood sample and hired me on the spot. She was beaming. This is how it always happens in the books. He'll fall in love with the humble maid. It's the beginning of our love story. I swallowed the sarcastic retort, forcing a simple, congratulations. I'll be waiting for your good news. She'd been through enough humiliation lately. I feared another dose of my reality would make her snap and actually stab me. My feigned support worked. See, Karis, you're finally getting it. When I'm the lady of the house, I'll set you up with your own company. You won't have to slave away as an accountant anymore. I just nodded. On her first day, she dressed like a streetwalker. A low-cut top, fishnet stockings, and a micro miniskirt. The housekeeper immediately forced her to change into a drab, gray uniform. The villa was just one of Donovan's many properties, and he was rarely there. Her job was to scrub the marble floors, by hand, from the first floor to the top. After days of backbreaking labor, just as her spirit was about to break, Donovan Croft finally appeared. That night, she didn't go home. She repeated her original plan, drugging his evening tea. When Donovan saw her, a wave of pure exhaustion and fury washed over his face. He fought through the drug's haze, pushed her away, and beat her. This time, he was even more brutal. She was thrown from the third floor landing to the first. When I saw her in the hospital, she was wrapped in plaster and bandages like a mummy. Her hand, leg, and tailbone had suffered comminuted fractures. But the moment she saw me, she started giggling. I was baffled. Did he beat the sense out of you? Or into you? Karis, she whispered, her voice conspiratorial. I'm going to be pregnant. I thought I'd misheard. I'd heard of people getting pregnant, or having miscarriages. I'd never heard of someone going to be pregnant. With whose child? I asked, my voice flat. Donovan Croft's, of course. She raised a triumphant eyebrow. I bought his specimen. A wave of dread washed over me. Was his genetic material being sold wholesale? How did everyone seem to have a sample? Jenna, that's not something you can just buy. You've been scammed, I said, trying to keep the anger out of my voice. Her face immediately darkened. Scammed? Karis, you're just jealous. Jealous that I could get it and you couldn't. Then where did you buy it? I pressed, my patience wearing thin. Like I'd tell you, she snapped. So you can steal my man?